Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Larki. I make lifestyle and true crime videos. If you're not, welcome back and thank you for joining me in another video. Today's case, we're going to be talking about the mysterious death of Carrie Selvage. Now, this is a very old case, so there wasn't that much information out there. There was some parts of this story that I wasn't really able to confirm, but I found them to be very interesting, so I wanted to include them anyway. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Carrie was born on December 19th, 1856. She had three brothers, Edward, William, and Joseph. And like I said, not much was known about her life prior to her disappearance, except for the fact that she had been a school teacher. She had been 43 years old at the time she suddenly disappeared. She had previously been under treatment at Dr. W.B. Fletcher's sanitarium and was then discharged to her brother Edward's care. She had been staying with Edward up until she suffered a nervous breakdown and was then admitted to the Union State Hospital in Indianapolis. And what's interesting about this hospital is that it had actually been an orphanage prior to it being a hospital, and throughout the rest of this case we'll see it being converted into so many other things as well, so it doesn't stay a hospital for long. So on the morning of March 1st of the year 1900, I know guys, I said this was a while ago, Carrie had taken a short walk around the hospital grounds with a nurse. And after her walk, the nurse took her up to her room. When they got to her room, Carrie had asked the nurse to grab her a glass of milk in the kitchen. So the nurse closed the door behind her and went to go get her the milk. When she came back with a glass of milk, she couldn't find Carrie anywhere in her room. So the nurse immediately alerted hospital staff as well as Carrie's family, and they immediately began searching for her. Carrie had been wearing a blue dress and some felt slippers when she disappeared, and spoiler alert, remember this outfit because it does become quite relevant later on. So the hospital staff went door to door to the people who lived in the surrounding area, asking for any information on Carrie. And one person did claim to have seen a woman matching the description that they were given, and this woman was kind of hiding behind a fence, and this led everyone to believe that Carrie could have possibly escaped and then thrown herself in the canal. So in their search for Carrie, they focused a lot on nearby rivers, creeks, and the canal in case she had drowned. But after this, nothing came up in the investigation and the case quickly went cold. So the Union State Hospital only remained open for about a week or two after Carrie disappeared, and then the hospital was turned into a boarding house. And by boarding house, from what I read, what it really was kind of like a place where they would just like rent out rooms. People could like stay in their rooms separately. So all of the information up until this point, I was able to confirm through old newspaper articles, but this little bit I only saw in a Reddit thread, but I felt like it was too interesting to leave out. So sometime after Carrie's disappearance, a group of medical students thought that they came across Carrie's body. So the students were using cadavers, to study and learn about the human body, and one of the cadavers that they had been using had a striking resemblance to Carrie. So they did alert the authorities, and the authorities questioned them as to how they, got in possession of the cadaver, and they pointed them to the person that they purchased the cadaver from. So now this part of the story can be confirmed through newspaper articles, but police were pointed to a man named Rufus Cantrell, and he was notorious for being a grave robber. So Rufus told police that he knew about Carrie's disappearance because a man that he knew had actually kidnapped her and kept her in his log cabin. Allegedly, this man kept Carrie for weeks, torturing her before finally killing her and then burying her in a nearby cemetery. So then the body was dug up and then sold to the medical college. Now this part is a little bit conflicting, and this is why I wanted to include that earlier piece of information that I couldn't find in newspaper articles, but this part I did find in newspaper articles. But basically, the grave robbers didn't want to sell the body to the medical college initially because they were afraid that they could have been linked to Carrie's disappearance. Since they had the body of Carrie Selvage, then once police would have gotten word of it, they would have asked them like, well, how did you guys end up with the body? Like, she was missing and now you guys are selling her cadaver to a medical school. So that part was true. Now the part of the medical students actually having the body in their possession, that's the only part that I wasn't able to confirm. But I feel like there's a link to it all. Like there could have been one of the grave robbers that was just like, you know, there's always that one person in the group. That's why I wanted to include it. I mean, that's what I want to think anyways. So I'm gonna let you guys come up with your own decision on what you think. Nonetheless, as the story goes, the Selvage family was contacted and they were convinced that this was their sister Carrie after, you know, taking a look at the body, and they mourned her death and gave her a proper burial. Nobody raised an eyebrow or questioned the identity of the body until 20 years later when a skeleton was found in the attic of the old Union State Hospital. And as I mentioned earlier, the Union State Hospital locale served as a few different things in its time that it stood, and in 1920 it was being converted yet again into a garage. And during construction, one of the workmen found the skeleton in a sitting position in the corner of an attic. And the skeleton was found wearing a blue dress and felt slippers, an outfit that was confirmed to be that of Carrie Selvage's outfit by all three Selvage brothers. By this point, they were convinced that this skeleton was in fact their missing sister. So you're probably wondering to yourself, how could a body go undetected in this building for over 2 decades? Well, the building had an unusual layout. The attic that Carrie's skeleton was found was actually a second attic that could have been accessed through a door in what was actually the attic. I guess there was like an additional crawl space up there or something. Nonetheless, the identity of the first corpse was never identified, and after 20 years, Carrie Selvage was finally laid to rest. Investigators believe that Carrie had starved to death in the attic, but a lot of people question, like, how did she get up there? Was there foul play involved? Did she in fact escape her room and then just like hide up in the attic and then starve to death, or was she put up there? I mean, surely anybody that would have put her up there would have had a hard time trying to carry up a body up to an attic, let alone a second attic. Was the nurse that was initially in charge of her, like, did she lie about actually locking the door behind her? Like, did she actually forget about locking the door and she just didn't want to get in any other trouble? There were a lot of questions surrounding this. And the area where Carrie was found was pretty small. It was like 3 feet by 4 feet, I think I read. So it would have been pretty hard to try to put someone up there, whether dead or alive. I thought this case was pretty insane. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Any theories you guys may have. Have you heard of this case? Have you heard of any other cases similar? And if you've made it to this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.